Greetings, this is Heidi Klein, and I am the author of A Season of Me Intention and Reflection Journal. This particular edition is the winter edition, and I'm recording this video just to give you an idea of how best to use your intention and reflection journal. So let's go ahead and get started. You can see from the cover, this is part of a series. There will be an intention and reflection journal for each season. This particular edition is the winter edition. When you open your book, you'll find a little bit of information about the idea of a season of me. And a season of me focuses on a season mindset. And seasons are, for us, are 12-week seasons. Some people talk about 90 days, some people talk about a quarter. In this particular season, the winter season, I've given you an extra 4 weeks, and we'll talk about that when we get to that section. But just know that your winter season is something that you get to define. So you have a little bit of an overview of what a season mindset is and some information written out about the stuff I'm going to talk about on this video. And if you are more of a reader and a visual learner, you can read through that and it'll repeat some of the things we're talking about. But I'm going to talk about each of these as we go through the journal. So the first thing I want to look at is this first section called the big picture. In the big picture, you're going to spend a little time just kind of getting clear on your big dream. And this is a place to really kind of focus on kind of what does future you look like? And what do you want to look back on this season and say, that is what I really wanted to accomplish, or I can see in that season how rest set me up for a future season, or how a season of learning set me up to know what I needed to know for a future season. Just kind of reflecting on looking back from the end of your life. What is this season going to look like? And as we do that, we kind of go all the way out like a decade. Then we bring it back in. What do you want things to look like 5 years from now? And then we take a little time to do something called the 7 layers exercise. I've heard this called the 7 layers of why, or the 7 whys. This exercise really just helps you drill down on your personal motivation for why these things are important. So when you think about what you want for yourself in this season, ask yourself why this is important to you. And then using that answer, ask yourself again, why is this important to you? And using that answer, ask yourself the question again, and you get the idea. And by the time you get to level 7, I can assure you, you will have an insight about your motivation and your why that goes way deeper than when you first answered the question on layer 1. So take a little time with that when you do the 7 layers exercise. Then this page, honestly, I think this is one of my favorite pages in the book. It says across the top, my winter season, and it goes from this date to this date. One of the foundational tenets of the season mindset philosophy is that you get to define your seasons. This is not about what society tells you a season is. This is not about what the government tells you a season is. This is not about what the calendar tells you a season is. This is about what you tell yourself a season is. So maybe in your winter season, you want it to start in October. I know a lot of people say right after Halloween, my winter season kicks off. Other people want to start at the beginning of December. Some don't want to start it till January. Whatever you want your winter season to be defined as. And note, this year's winter season might look different than next year's winter season. So choose your dates. They can be anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks, but pick a season, a set of time, 12 to 16 weeks long, that you're going to call your season. And then think about what are the 3 or 4 things that you really want to commit to yourself to in these seasons. And go ahead and put those in this season, put those down, and then write how you're going to celebrate at the end of this season. Honestly, not even how you're going to celebrate achieving these commitments. Just what are you going to celebrate when you're done with this season, and when you look back at what you set as an intention and you reflect on what happened and how it moved you closer to what you're dreaming of, or maybe even what obstacles you ran into and how you dealt with them. How will you celebrate? Decide that ahead of time and sign your contract with yourself. Then we jump into our monthly pages. And again, no dates. You get to pick the first month of your season. You get to decide what's going to happen in these weeks. And I want you to look at this monthly grid, not as like a planner or your Google Calendar or your appointments, but more kind of general themes, like what things do you need to get done in a certain week. If you were marking this as December, I believe Christmas would fall like here. So what's going to happen this week when we celebrate Christmas? Or what kind of things do you have? What are the big things that you want to make sure you're thinking about? And then over here, you have a little block to write down what you're going to focus on in that week. So Christmas week, you might say celebration and rest, right? You're not really going to focus on productive goals that week. Or maybe you are. Maybe this is a year where family is here and you're celebrating Christmas ahead of time and not actually on Christmas. Or maybe you don't celebrate Christmas and there is a different holiday that falls into this period. And then on the bottom, I want you to come up with an affirmation that you want to repeat to yourself this month. And again, I didn't fill this out for you because I don't know what your season is about. This is how you get to define what do you want to be repeating to yourself, affirming in yourself in this season. And so you can go ahead and fill out your affirmation. It might be an affirmation for the whole season, and it might be an affirmation for just this month. Next, you find your weekly focus page, right? And again, this is your week in the midst of your season. What are you going to focus on this week? What are your top 3 priorities for the week? How do you plan on celebrating the priorities that you achieve? What kind of obstacles are you thinking you might face? And again, room for your affirmation and room for a quote. Choose a quote that you find inspirational for your week. And then we go into days, right? So there's a space to talk about things you might see coming up for today, your priorities for the day. These are your top 6. You might only have 3. You might have 6. One of the things I really encourage you on your priorities page is to pick some things that you are absolutely 100% positive you're going to achieve on that day so that you can check off a box, right? So these are the big things, but also some of the smaller things so that you're getting to the priorities you've set for yourself this month. And then there's a little section for gratitude. It is just so important, and it changes our mindset and our feeling about the world when we take a little time each day to think about what gratitudes we have. And then there's also a space for reflection. Now, I mentioned in the writing at the beginning, you might want to write out part of this at the beginning of the day. You might want to check out some of this right at the end of the day. It's kind of up to you how you want to do this. I don't want you to ever feel like this journal becomes another task in your day. I want it to be a way that you find the opportunity to be reflective, to enjoy your time, to enjoy the space that you have created to be intentional in your life. But I don't want it ever to become a burden. So play with this a little bit. Maybe you do visit this 2 or 3 times a day. Maybe you only visit it once a day. Maybe you miss some days. Again, no dates, so it's okay. Then we have our little health habits box. And in these habits, I just really picked out, again, some very generic statements. Water. I don't care how much water. It's the water that you feel is right for your body. I have friends who drink a gallon of water a day. I have friends who stick by the 8 ounces or half your body weight in ounces. There are all kinds of different ideas about how much water, but we all agree that water is an important thing to intentionally add to your day. Same thing with movement. Maybe your movement for this day is yoga. Maybe it's running a marathon. I don't know, but we do know that some kind of movement is important every day. Supplements, whatever happens to be the thing that you like to keep track of. And then thought work. And thought work, again, this is one that some of us, involve our higher power, involve God, prayer, and meditation in our thought work. Other people, it's very clinical, very much just spending some time on being intentional about the things that you're thinking about, making space. In the positive intelligence world, we call them PQ reps, right? Becoming aware of your presence, being mindful. Whatever thought work works for you or that you find enriches your life, that's what thought work is. And again, same thing for food. Whatever food plan works for you, as long as you are being intentional and choosing how you want to nourish your body, you can put your X in the food plan. So that is about how you look at the weekly pages. And there's going to be 7 of those, obviously. We are going to still stick to that part of the calendar. And then you have a space to take some time and reflect, what was your biggest win for this week? What was your biggest challenge for this week? Kind of what are your learnings? What do you need to tweak? What are you going to do? What resources do you need to have different? And again, how are you going to celebrate? I cannot encourage you enough to add celebration to this whole process, because it's fun, because it makes you able to see the progress that you're making as you go through the week. So then we start again, right? So we're going to have a weekly focus. We're going to get to the end of a few weeks and come to another month. Right? Then it repeats again. And remember, in the winter journal, you have 4 extra weeks. So if you say, I want to take a full week off in my sort of usual 12-week rhythm, then you have a little extra space to do that. And I encourage you to do that in December. Then at the end of the book, we have our time for your final evaluation of this season. And this is where we go back to those questions kind of at the beginning. What did you learn? What have you achieved this season? What are you looking forward to in your next season? What do you want to leave behind? And how will you celebrate? There's a little space for notes and reflections and a little information about me and the Season of Me Collective. So that is what you will find in the Season of Me journal. This, again, is the winter edition. There will be editions in the spring, summer, and fall. And if you have any questions or you would like to have a conversation about the Season of Me Collective or about working with me as your coach, you can find me at heidi@klein.com. Thank you.